Everybody give permission that you feel fine being recorded. Somebody probably sued somebody, and this is how we now have this. Big shout out to the people who I saw like on Facebook last night. All you people in Dallas, D Magazine's Best Realtors, very exciting. Every time that you get an accolade, it's a big deal. It's really awesome to see. Great job, you guys, over there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We don't have anything like that in Austin, as far as I know. So we're just kind of like chopped liver, but you guys are cool. And I'm excited that you guys get to experience that. And then if you were living under a rock all last week, you saw that you may not have seen that Place was the #1 team across all brands and all brokerages. And we don't live for the accolades, but high five, because we couldn't do it without you guys, right? And Chris and Ben always say, you know, we're building with our agents for our agents. And I love, love, love to see that. Here's what's happening in Texas. Get ready to write it down. Agents. We have 91 agents, 91 agents. 91 agents. 19 of you guys out of those 91, you guys are in launch. You guys have started in the last 90 days. So it's very, very exciting. Out of those 91 agents, 48% of you have been here 3+ years. So shout out to you guys. We know who you are and you're amazing. Some of you guys have been here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years now. So I don't know if anybody's been here longer than 7 years, but that's a long time. Marriages don't even last that long sometimes, guys. Listings, we have 77 listings that you guys are carrying across the state. You are representing 379 buyers, 379 buyers. This is why we're talking about routines today. Pendings, 247 pendings, you guys. You guys have 247 pendings. Let's go for the 250. Pending volume right now, 99 million, 99 million. I want to say it's 100, but it's not 100 yet. So can't call it what it isn't, right? 99 million in volume. That's an average price point, you guys, of 401,000, 401,000. Very strong price point for Texas. I looked at stats last night, and as of May, like last month, May, in the state of Texas, the average price point was 258, right? Now, obviously, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, you know, they're going to carry higher prices, but still, state average is 258. Your average right now in pendings is 401. I feel real good about that. Closings, 499 closings, 499 closings. Closing volume, 183 million. You guys have closed 183 million year to date. That's an average price point of 367, you guys. So if you look at 367 and 401 being your average, right, for pendings and 1 for closings, you have a gap of like 9%. That is a nice gap. We like talking about that because it means you're getting a 9% increase, right, in your paycheck. So that feels good. And the last thing is gross commission income, you guys. 5.1 million GCI closed. The reason that's important, as that number grows, our agents get paid, our investment in the business, which is called expenses, get paid, and then there is a profit, right? All of us need all three. It's got to be a win, win, win. And that is $2.5 million already paid out to our agents this year. Ain't no other team doing that. So I'm excited about the success. If you missed any of the data, I'm sure your friend probably has it, but 91 agents, 77 listings, 379 buyer reps, 247 pendings, 499 units closed. Very, very cool. Very awesome. Way to go. This morning, we've got some people on our call. Let me find, I'm going to spotlight a couple of you. Let me spotlight, I found Jonathan Miller. Let me see if I can find the other guy that we are needing on here. Where's Josh at? Let's see. Oh, there's you, Josh. I'm going to spotlight you. Okay, guys. So let me add that spotlight. These gentlemen, if they want to unmute themselves, they are BKCO Mortgage Texas. And let's start with Josh. Josh, you are licensed in 7 states now, including the state of Texas, right?
Yes, finally, after a nice, long, patient wait.
Yeah, I don't know, like Texas has taken forever compared to like other states. I don't know what's up with that, but we're so glad that you are finally licensed in Austin. Tell us a little bit about you. You're being added to the Texas team, which is cool. like, who are you? Like, what should our Texas agents know? There's 71 on the call right now.
Gotcha. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Josh Whitcomb. I'm based out of Austin, Texas. I'm working in the Dripping Springs office with the Seaman team currently. But yeah, I fell in love with mortgage, working with at realtor.com, formerly OpCity. Worked with teams just like this around the country, getting them set up with lead programs. And wanted to get out of that line of sales, and actually worked closely with Spencer, the Seaman team. And he, told me he was joining his awesome wife and all of you guys, and that you guys needed help with the new mortgage program we built for you guys. And then out of learning that, how important the in-house mortgage lender for teams like you are, I saw an opportunity to join these guys, help you guys out, and grow together. Not to mention you guys are doing great. So super excited to be here, super to be available to all of you. I've already reached out to some teams, San Antonio, Houston, just say hi, introduce myself. I plan on making a visit down to everybody. So after this call, probably later during the day, you'll get an email or text from me, just kind of saying hi, and my direct contact information as well.
I love that. I love that. So you married, kids, anything?
I'm engaged. I'm supposed to get married in pandemic times, but we're engaged, so we're trying to figure it out. My fiance's brother lives in Australia, and she's not gonna get married till he can be there, because she's one of her best homies. But they have strict travel restrictions still, and he has a little baby, so we haven't been able to figure out the date yet. But it is coming soon. I've got two teenage boys, 16 and 18. Both play sports here at Westlake High School. Love the barbecue. Got two puppies, pandemic puppies. They're both red huskies. So busy.
That. I love that. Pandemic puppies. Who all got a pandemic puppy or a pandemic pet? I know some of you guys, like, there was enough going on and you're like, I'm going to get a pet. Why not? Right? I'm just going to add to all the chaos in my life. No, Josh, dude, it's so awesome to see you. And I know, guys, I love Josh's hustle. He's a hustler. I can already tell. He's like texted me like so many times, and like, if I don't respond, which I didn't for like, I'm like, just like you guys, overwhelmed. Like, he just keeps texting you, and he's like of service. So I appreciate that a ton about you. You're going to meet him. And that's really exciting. And I'm excited because Jonathan freaking needs help, and he's excited about some new blood to help out with that. Jonathan, what's been going on in the mortgage business? Like, what's new? What can you tell us?
Yeah. Well, first, appreciate y'all letting me join y'all today. It's always exciting to be a part of the group and see a lot of familiar faces on these calls. But yeah, I'm sure some of y'all saw the news yesterday about, oh man, the Fed's hiking up rates again. What does that mean? Honestly, not a whole lot right now. They pretty much had planned on hiking up the rates a little bit, and I'll get into a little bit more specifics in 2024. But the chair lead, Mr. Jerome Powell, came out saying, well, maybe at the end of 2023. So what does that mean for us on the mortgage side? Right now, not a whole lot. I think kind of like if some of y'all were on the previous call that we were on before, I think just projected inflation and fears of inflation, that's kind of what's going to more correlate with driving up mortgage rates a little bit here and there. I would say right now, though, this summer, guys, we're still pretty steady. And I think it's going to remain pretty steady. A little bit of a worsening of rates yesterday, but I mean, we're talking fractions of a percent, like less than 1/8 of a percent. So what we've been seeing actually this whole entire year with 2021 is a slight uptick on so some rallies and then some back to the valleys. So again, it's been like, I think the message to your clients and to our clients is just, we're still at historic lows. No, we're not COVID pandemic bottom lows. We're not 2.5 like we were at one point, the middle of it. But the Fed still continues to buy mortgage-backed securities, which that's the huge indicator, for rates to remain where they're at. So that's really the takeaway message you're going to leave your clients. You're going to instill that hope and faith, like this is the best time to buy a house.
I love that. So pandemic lows, that was like the bottom. People always like say, oh, well, where do you think the top is? Or what do you think the bottom is? And you never know until you're past it, right? So the pandemic lows was the bottom, right? But this is still, guys, this is still historic, right? There will probably, like, we'll look back a decade from now, and this was the time to buy. If somebody can buy in any way, shape, or form, this is the time to do it. What's been happening, you know, any updates on the BKCO mortgage side, anything with the app, anything with the processes, anything that you want to share there?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about these apps that we have set in place. If you have not had a chance, grab your phones. There's a couple apps that we have out. So there's the BKCO Mortgage Calculator app. There's also the Place Mortgage Calculator app. Do not be confused with just the BKCO customer or consumer portal. That's I've had a couple agents reach out and like, hey, there's this code that I have to put in. Well, yeah, it's because it's the wrong one. So you want to make sure that it says calculator attached to the end of it. But regardless, if you want to use Place or if you want to use the BKCO app, they both go to the same place. And here's the really cool thing about it, guys. I'm gonna pull it up. On Place, if you go to the very bottom of the app, if you already have it downloaded, there's a little icon that says more. And what's really neat about this is I know you guys are always on the road, always out in the field. So there's actually more that will pull up a refer now page that you could actually get the app started right away with your clients. You can actually pick which loan officer you want to work with. And, you know, I think everyone we have right now, actually, I didn't tell you guys, I also have Andrew Rios and Jonathan Birds on this call as well. Andrew is licensed, Jonathan's pending licensing, which I think he's on the cuff. So we're really excited for that. So we'll have 4 of us now. But if you go to the Refer Now tab, literally it's everything to get the application started. And the first available officer, you can select which one you want. We're all there. It's super neat because it does a couple things. I know we have a million ways to send leads in, right? We can send it via text, call us, email us. And I've kind of like coached you guys up a little bit how I like it. But I think what Ben's vision is really to start using this app because it does a few things. It's a CRM, helps us track where leads are coming from, helps us log all communication and keep y'all in the loop. So we know kind of like what's going on, where we're at in the process. Highly encourage you guys to take a look at that for sure.
I love that. I love that. So if you haven't, like, if you like BKCO mortgage app and Place mortgage app, same thing. It's just a different branding, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the same branding. Oh, sorry, different branding. But
same message, different branding. Yes, yes. And I love that. I'm seeing lots of shout outs. I love that. Every time there's a shout out, it's very, very cool. And then also, I love what Jacqueline said. This is a great touch to your database, right? You know, have you thought about what you could afford? You know, go check out the BKCO mortgage app or the Place mortgage app. I love that. I love that. Cool. Anything coming up that we should be aware of, or are we pretty steady this summer and just get in the clients and get them closed?
Yeah, so rate wise, I think we're going to remain pretty steady. You know, kind of as I mentioned, we're going to have some little shifts here and there, but it's not going to be significant, at least as the projections and what I'm being told. But at the end of the day, if anything happens, we never know, right? It's just I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you everything about rates. As far as processing goes, we definitely had some improvements there. We have a really, really neat transition coming up where I won't get too far into the weeds with it, but it's going to really impact. I mean, our turnaround times have already been pretty stellar as of late. The occasional one-offs, right? But I would say within 30-day closings, totally doable, especially if we have to be super competitive and expedite some of these reviews. Absolutely, that's doable. I would say the one caveat is always going to be the appraisal. So we order that day one, the second we receive that contract. Which I know a lot of lenders don't do that. They want to wait for the intent to proceed, and that's on us if the appraisal falls out. And so, so we're seeing some big changes here on the processing side, which hopefully that'll happen really soon.
I love that. I love that. And you guys remember we have Chris Stewart, who joined Place, which, give us 90 days and let us improve things even further, right? But they are night and day from last year, you guys. Like if you were trying BKCO mortgage last year and you were like, whoo, man, that was rough, right? Just imagine your first year and how rough it was for you when you were like trying to do real estate. That was the mortgage company. It was a little bit of a baby and we were like teaching it how to do everything, right? And managing a million things. But guys, it's standing on its own 2 feet. And it's doing really good. So definitely give them a chance if you haven't recently. And these guys are here to serve you guys. Will you guys pop your contact information in the chat? Just if anybody's got something that they want to ask you about throughout the week, I would plug these guys into my phone. Let them be like a part of your team, guys, right? And then the mortgage app, if you're on the go, fast, I like it. Cool, awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you so much this morning. Can't wait to see you guys again next quarter and see what is happening and what you guys project and what updates are. I love it so much. I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys' spotlight off if I can figure it out. Yes, I think I can. Maybe, perhaps. Cool. So let's transition. You guys ready to transition? Got 73 of you guys still alive and kicking. I see some head nods. I love it. Last week, we talked about controlling your price point and your time through prospecting and open houses. I heard a lot of you guys actually signed listings last week and this week, which is really exciting, more than we have. And then we had a record open house weekend. So way to go, you guys. Thank you for everyone who spoke last week. And then also Valencia, who started the month off. You guys, I love that we pour into each other because what's happening in Dallas can happen in Austin. What happens in Austin can happen in San Antonio. And we are just working together to level up. This week, we're going to continue that summer series. And we're going to start by building that foundation, right? So we started this call off with all the sexy things we could talk about, like how to close 10 extra deals from social media video and how to, close 100 deals from referrals, which I do have those speakers signed up for this summer. But what happens when we add more tactics, more stuff to our plates, right? If we don't change anything in our routine, if we don't change anything in our habits, it just leads to burnout faster, right? It leads to more exhaustion. And sometimes it feels good because we're making money. So we we're at least we're making money, right? But in this market, you work hard, you're going to make money. It's a guaranteed paycheck, right? It's a hard market, but it's not the kind of hard, those of you who sold in 2008, 9, 10, that was a hard market where nothing was selling. And you had to really convince people to do things, right? Today, you have to convince them, but it's for their own good. It's a little bit different. So Sunday is the first day of summer, you guys. So when we think of summer, we mostly think of sunshine and the beach and water. And I was just at the beach. And what happens when you stand in water, guys, and the waves are crashing? What happens to your feet? Do they stay steady or are they shifting with the sand? Which one is it?
Shifting
yes.
with the sand.
Thank you, Jonathan. Woo, we got a wake one, people. It does shift with the sand. So I want us to start our summer off rebuilding our habits and our routines on solid rock stuff, not the shifting sand stuff, right? So if we don't pause and change anything, nothing will change, right? And so as we will add new tactics, we will see new levels of success. And when we see new levels of success, I don't want that to get built and then it crumbles, right? So this morning, I've got one of my really, really good friends, Jacqueline, and we already talked about Jacqueline being we've often talked about her, she's a rock star. Not only that, but she's awake before I even wake up. It's West Coast time. It's 2 hours behind in her time. So I'm going to spotlight Jacqueline just because I want to make sure you guys all see her pretty face this early in the morning, right? So Jacqueline and her team, they sell, you guys, in 2 markets because it's right next to each other. Vancouver, Washington, write that down, and Portland, Oregon. So You've got referrals. That's where she's at. She's got an incredible team, people who have been with her a long time, people who are starting with her, and they are like getting into production quickly. And if you are like traveling up that way, like I would go shadow them, like go do some lead gen with them, see what they're doing, and then bring it back to Texas, right? So, and also make your trip tax deductible. So anyway, Jack and her team, they closed $100 million. And actually nobody in Texas, none of our teams closed $100 million last year. So Jacqueline is definitely the voice in the room that we need to listen to today. They did this in the middle of pandemic times, guys, and they did not have open houses. So an entire lead gen lever was removed and they still closed 100 units, not 100 units, 100 sales volume, lots and lots of units. And I love something that Jordan said yesterday. Jordan said, make sure your profits have profits. Make sure your profits have profits. And what do I mean by that? Be careful who you take your advice from, right? You're all around like selling in our market. You get recruiting calls, all of that junk, right? We all get them. I get recruiting calls, right? Like all of us, if you're any good, you're probably getting recruiting calls. Make sure your profits have profits. And Jacqueline has profits. Jack is someone I would definitely take advice from. So her superpower, I think, is plugging into systems and models. There are very few people who plug into systems and models like Jacqueline has. One of those models has been the 15-point plan for health and happiness, AKA energy. So Jack, welcome to our Texas crew. We are not as awake as you, I think, but I'm glad that you're joining us this morning. Give us some background, like who the heck are you? Like where are you from? How'd you get started? Like before you go into your 15-point plan, like why'd you even do real estate? Why are you even still in real estate? It's exhausting, like we're all talking about.
Thank you guys for having me. And yes, I'm always awake, but I'm not used to talking to people this early. I always joke with my team that I have to get up 3 hours early just so that I come in, and have energy and I don't want to bite their heads off. So I've had my coffee, but not used to presenting at this time. So hopefully I'm not stumbling on my words today. Real estate. So why did I get into it? My husband had a construction company, and when the market crashed, no one was doing anything in our area in terms of construction, and we had to pivot, and we started a property preservation company. So we were working with a lot of the banks, the asset managers that were, handling the portfolios, the foreclosures, and through that process, we were working with a lot of the agents that were doing a lot of REO and foreclosures. So kind of opened my world to the real estate community, got to know some of them. And then eventually in 2014, I got my license and started selling real estate and absolutely fell in love with it. Prior to that, I'm originally from Canada, and I had been mainly working in nonprofit and social service sectors. So I was at that time considering even going back and getting my master's and going a completely different route, getting back into that end of things and doing counseling. And then I got into real estate and realized I am basically a counselor.
I was going to say, you are a counselor now. Congratulations.
So I fell in love with real estate in 2015 was my first full year, and I was able to sell 52 homes my first year. And I started building a team and partnered with Ben in 2017, and haven't looked back. It's awesome. And I love it so much. So.
Okay. And then in 2015, like, where did your business mostly come from? Like, did you or was it everywhere? Like, what did it look like at that time?
It was from every source that I could get my hands on. So right from, day one, I was reaching out to for sale by owners, expireds, doing open houses, my sphere. I was working all of the lead gen levers.
Okay, that makes sense. Without even knowing that they were lead gen levers, you're just
yes, no.
I think like what I wrote down while you were talking is like, you guys always just pivoted, right? Like, I mean, the market crashed. Great. What's the opportunity? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Like real estate's an opportunity. Great. Where am I going to get my business from? everywhere. Because like when you need to make money, like, I mean, like, I'm sorry, but beggars can't be choosers, right? And then we build this foundation of like, we know what we're doing, and then we start to maximize different things in our business. So I love that. One of the things that Jacqueline has, I mean, we could have Jacqueline on every week and we'd learn something new, but today we'll just talk about like, why are you passionate about this whole 15-point plan? Like, do you actually use it? Like, are you ever exhausted and burned out?
Yeah. So everything I do really starts with me and a need or something I'm struggling with. And then I start noticing other people are struggling with the same thing. And we in Washington, we have been on like what we call lockdown, until just recently. So you guys, like just recently we were able to do open houses again. Just recently we're starting to like go out places and not have to wear masks and be able to go out to eat. Like we have not been able to do that. So we have been at home for, I think it was almost 18 months. And I mean, it just took a toll on my health personally and my energy. And so then when we got back into the office and we are, everything's rolling again, I started noticing, gosh, like I don't have as much energy as I used to. And earlier this year, I did, some of you have heard of 75 Hard, which is just another system or model, right, that you can follow. And I think that's the biggest thing is we have all of these systems that we follow for our business, but somehow we expect that we don't need them for the most important thing, which is like our physical, emotional, and mental health, right? And so I did that challenge earlier this year. And I remember going into my team and saying like, some days I felt like I could fly and my energy just went through the roof. And then 75 Hard was finished and I kind of went back to some of my old habits. And that's where I really noticed the difference in my energy. I had never really noticed it before in years past. It was probably the same, but I was so used to being tired. I had never felt what it felt like to do things when I had that proper foundation built. So if you look at Ben's energy triangle, the foundation of it is the physical. And I'm so passionate about my mindset and helping people with their mindset. And I'd always focus on that. And I was missing this huge piece that was the foundation upon which everything else is built. Your mindset is built on top of the physical. And so for me, once I felt what that felt like to feel good and to not have that friction, Chris's recent letter, he talked about, right, the friction. So that was a huge point of friction in my life that I was not aware of. And I was trying to, like you said, build on that shifting sand because I didn't have that piece. So the 15-point plan, I hadn't ever been passionate about it because Ben used to call it the get out of the rut plan. Well, if you don't know that you're in a rut, you wouldn't think, well, maybe I should do that plan because I'm not in a rut, right? So when I dug into it, it's not a get out of a rut plan. Well, it can be, but it can also be strength. I want to strengthen my foundation and make sure that I'm firing on all cylinders plan. So most of us here, we are obviously doing pretty well, but are we really firing on all cylinders? And do you want to fire on all cylinders, or do you want to just, get by and I'll just muscle my way and white knuckle my way through, right? And I'm doing pretty good. What if we go back to basics and look at that foundation? Because the height of anything we want to build is determined by the strength and the size of that foundation, right? So
whoa, somebody write that down. The height of what we're building is determined by that foundation, the strength of that foundation. Dang. You said I wrote down really quickly because you were talking really good.
No, sorry.
I love it. I love it
about this right now. So if you got
I appreciate the passion. Jacqueline said we have models for lead gen, we have models for productivity, we have models and systems for everything. And yet the model that we don't go to is our personal energy model. Can you go over what the 15-point plan is? I don't know like how you want to do that, but if you could.
Yeah, I mean, what you guys should do is just go to the winmategive.com site. You can pull up, there's a tab on there and you can pull up the 15-point plan, or there's the link, right? And then there's the tracker sheet and there's the podcast. So Jacqueline and Chad did a podcast that actually goes into a deep dive into each of the 15 points. So I actually have a group going on Facebook right now. If you're on the Winmate Give Facebook group for the wealth series that Ben did last year, I posted a link to the group in there. You can also just reach out to me, but I have a group of people that I invited to come along with me on this journey of 30 days of doing the 15-point plan. We're only on day 3, so you guys can still hop in and start, or you could start your own, right? A Texas 15-point plan challenge for the next 30 days. But what I find is if I don't create a system or an environment for myself that forces me to perform, then I won't do it. So if you get to know me, I will often be seen inviting people along, right? Earlier this year, my husband and I did the wealth series with a group of people from all across the country. Now I'm doing the 15-point plan with a group of people from all across the country. I am, often just inviting people to come along, because if I do that, I'm going to be forced myself to stick to it. So I've been talking to my team a lot about accountability and discipline and creating necessity. And if you've read High Performance Habits, he talks about creating necessity in your life and how a lot of high performers have an internal need to perform at a high level. I think we all on this call have that. And so because of that, I've often thought, well, if I'm not disciplined with my health and with my energy, it's just because that's just not my superpower. My superpower is my mindset, right? That's what I used to say. My superpower is how you introduced me. I follow models and right. And so I actually had my identity tied to someone that was not a health person. And that was the story I told myself. Even this intro, this isn't a sexy topic. Well, if this changes your life and allows you to come home at the end of your day and be able to say with all honesty, like today was like a 10-10 on my like happiness, and I have energy left for my family, and I am like firing on all cylinders and feeling great every day. Isn't that pretty freaking sexy? Right?
That is like the most sexy, right? Like, and I relate to what you just said, because like it is zero part of my identity. And even all of you guys who are healthy, like physically, like in terms of you look good, some of you guys look really good, way better than me, which is awesome. But this is a different kind of energy. Like, let me share my screen really quick and let me like show everybody like, okay, so this is basically like the 15-point plan, right? Like, and how do you actually do it, Jacqueline? Like, what do you actually do? Like, what is a typical, like if we were starting tomorrow, what does this actually look like in real life?
My goal for this was to myself gain awareness around what activities I'm doing and not doing and their effect on my energy and my happiness and my moods. So I think like I have people on my team that they never miss a day on their Peloton. They're like on it in terms of their movement and exercise, but they don't journal. They don't really have any hobbies, or they have a lot of like negative people influences in their life. And so this is, I think, a more holistic way to look at creating energy, because there's multiple ways that we do that. It's not just exercise or just your nutrition. So essentially what it is you look at your day and you just grade yourself, right? So you could do this day one without even knowing right? Without even having a plan, and just see where you're at. Like, what are the things that you're doing now just on a regular basis? So maybe you're pretty good at hydration. You never miss, a wink of sleep. Maybe you do gratitude every day because you're part of, right, Ben Kinney companies, and we do gratitude. But maybe you don't have a hobby. Maybe you're not doing any sort of mindfulness, like prayer or meditation or something like that every day. Maybe you don't ever journal.
Okay, well, okay, can I like stop you right there? Because I can already sense like what people are thinking. I'm already too busy to do all that. Jacqueline, don't you know I have 10 pendings, 6 pendings, 20 pendings. I have 5 buyers right now that all need a house. I'm too busy to do that. Like, do you ever hear that?
That's an excuse. So what I look at is, okay, I've said that for years. I'm too busy. I'm too busy to exercise. I'm too busy to journal. I'm too busy to, right? I'm busy. I own a real estate school. I run a huge real estate team. I have 3 boys. I'm like a husband. We have another big construction company. I mean, I could say that I'm too busy too, but then your choice is, if you look at the energy triangle, then you're just choosing to not focus on, pretty much these encompass all 3. So you're trying to focus on the top of the triangle, which is your purpose, right? Your why you're here on this earth. You're trying to do all that without really taking the time to have the foundation. These things will give you time. So,
I like that. These things will give you time. And one of the things that I was thinking about is, how many of you guys have heard work smarter, not harder? Anybody? Am I the only one that's ever heard that? Okay. And then Jacqueline, what do we not do? Like, it sounds so good, but we don't do that, right? And this is like the hack to work smarter, right? And like one thing you said is accountability and discipline are not the same. Create systems that force you to perform. Yours is, what helps you perform is, I don't go at it alone because I know like it's not going to happen. I assume, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I'm not naturally disciplined in this area, or in many areas, like in lead generation, for example. I wasn't disciplined. I created a system and an environment that forced me to perform in that area. And so with this, you don't have to be disciplined, but an accountable person, right? And we're accountable in all things. So an accountable person would say, oh yeah, I'm not disciplined. I need to figure out a way that I can do this, right? So the first step is understanding that these things actually do create energy and they give you back your time. And so if I have that understanding that I, first of all, want to do these things, and I understand that it is working smarter, then the next step is, well, how can I put myself in a situation and create a system in my life that will force me to do this? Because it is going to have an ROI, right? It's not just taking time. It's actually going to give you a return on your investment of the time. And
Are you saying, oh, go ahead.
Just it's not the same. I think that for me, like, I look at people like Ben and Chris and I'm like, oh, they're just disciplined. Like, they just, they don't need these things because they just do this stuff naturally. But everything that Ben has created, I was talking to him about it. He's like, I created it because I needed to create a system for myself, and then I share it with you guys, right? He created this because he needed it first, and then he shared it with friends and saw how it had such positive effects on them, right? And then just like the daily plan, right? It's all things that he created for himself because he needed it. And we look at people like that, or you guys could look at me and think, oh, she doesn't need that. Well, I do. I wasn't doing these things, right?
Right on. I think Chris was sharing with us this week, guys, like, what did he do, Jacqueline? A Sunday night at 5 o'clock? What do you remember what he said? He was showing a house. What? Chris Suarez, CEO, co-founder of Place, showing a house on Sunday at 5. And did he want to, Jack?
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like, the things that make you successful, like, we don't want to stop doing those things, right? And do any of your agents have success with doing this, or are you the only one?
So no, I just shared this with them and they are part of that group and they
Oh, cool.
are, yeah. So what I noticed was there's people on my team that they're always tired. I mean, they were tired last year. They were tired the year before, right? And they were tired the year before that, right? And so it's like, okay, well, is it the pandemic? Is it the market? Or is it our story that we have just had as our identity for a long time? And it's time to shift the story, because if we want to grow, we can't, like you said, just keep piling tactics on and piling more work on without changing something. And so I'm shifting my story. And if your story's serving you, then great. But my story of I'm not a healthy person, or I just like food too much, and I like this, and I don't have time. I mean, all these things that I would tell myself, it's a great story, but it does not serve, what I'm trying to accomplish and my growth, and it doesn't serve my people. And so when I start noticing that in other people, I think to myself, well, life has a way of mirroring, right? Holding up the mirror for us. And I can't expect them to make changes and become healthier and change their story if I'm hanging on to mine. So I'll go first, and I'll bring as many people who want to come with me on that journey, and we'll see where it goes, right? So this time next year, I don't know, maybe I'll be a health person, right?
Like the second you said that, what it made me think of? We attract that which we are. I wonder, and this is, and by the way, I've never been inspired to do this 15-point plan. I'm actually now inspired. I've heard Ben for 3 years talk about this model, and not once did I actually want to add an energy model, but I am, because here's what just popped into my brain is we attract that which we are, clients included. And so I'm in coaching calls all day long talking about the crappy clients that you guys work with sometimes, right? And all the stuff. And you guys know, you all have all the stuff. So I wonder how much of some of what we experience is just a reflection of what's happening personally, because nothing, what does Ben always say, we are looking to solve internal problems with external solutions. We're looking to solve internal problems with external solutions, right? And when we solve us, everything else starts solving. Anyway, I thought that was, God, I love what you said. Shoot. Okay, cool. I'm coaching myself into this. Did not expect that. Hey, so as we wrap up, what do you have? I know you're really good at coaching your team. You're good at time management, at least coaching your agents to time management. Any tips that you have right now with the market, the way it's going, that we would like to hear? Where are your agents seeing success in how they're managing their business, how they're managing their clients? Is there anything you can share with us that we need to probably hear? Because you guys are experiencing it in your area, which if you're experiencing it, we're probably experiencing it.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure you guys have already talked about it, is just, every yes is validated by, right? They say 1,000 no's. And so we can't add things without taking something away, right? Unless we are going to just burn out eventually and just work harder and harder. So we've been having a lot of conversations around, what do we need to say no to in order to say yes to what we want more of? So if I want to focus and take more listings, what buyers do you have that maybe you've been driving around with or following up with, right? And maybe they aren't necessarily able to compete at the level that they need to in this market, but we're driving around with them because it makes us feel like we have business. And
I think maybe two things happen, right? If I'm, I don't know, if I was Jonathan Hand, or if I was Claudia or Josh or anybody, two things happen. Number one, yes, it does make me feel busy, Jack, to have a buyer. I don't want to come on a coaching call and be like, yeah, I have like 2 buyers that I'm working with, 0 listings. Like that makes me feel like I'm like really losing. So it sounds way better to work with 6 buyers, no matter who they are, and say I'm kind of working on getting listings. So number 1, yeah, I like to feel busy, but number 2, I kind of feel bad to say, hey, Jack, I mean, your price point's not going to be able to compete in this market. Like, how are you managing that? That you
Well,
feel like you're letting people down.
yeah, but how I looked at it was, if we're avoiding really having a powerful and kind of tough conversation with some of the buyers that we probably need to, we are actually giving them almost a false hope, and we are costing them money, because I don't know about your market, but we are increasing every single month. Like that same house last month is now, you know, costing a lot more this month. So if I'm putting off that conversation and hoping that by some chance I'm going to find them, you know, this diamond, and they're going to be able to get in there without, you know, going where they need to go in terms of competitive offers, right? If I'm just driving around with them and I'm not being super real and honest with them about it, I'm actually costing them money. Because if I'm in the past, we would do that. We would let the market kind of spank the buyer a little bit, give them a little slap around, you know, and we would drive them around and show them a few houses, let them miss out on a couple offers before they would realize what they need to do. Well, if you do that now, you're costing that buyer, what, $10,000, $20,000? If you're going to let the market talk to them because you don't want to have that conversation because we feel bad. I feel bad not having that conversation.
Whoa, change that mindset. I feel bad about not having the conversation. And whoa, what you just said, hold on. I just want to make sure, if you're zoning out, zone back in for a second. If you're allowing the market to kind of have the tough conversation for you, to spank them around, which we would do, like, dude, I've done it, right? Yeah. If you have 2 months of that, price points in Dallas and in Austin and anywhere in Texas, they go up like what? Like, you know, $20,000, $30,000 at this point, right? Like, you just cost them money by not having a tough conversation.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of my agents, you know, I'm picturing a few of them right now that sat across from me in my office, and they felt like it's like naked. Like I got, you know, had these conversations, and these people are kind of on the back burner unless I can find them an off market or like a for sale by owner or something. They are not able to do what they need to do to compete right now. So they felt like they had less business, and that's a scary feeling. And then you can shift it though into prospecting for listings. And gosh, who doesn't love having a listing in this market? You know, I think of that meme with like the buyer agent Barbie that looks all like, you know, sad at the end of the day. And I was driving home one day, you know, and I just like pended a listing or whatever. And I was like dancing. I was like, this is the difference when you're like taking listings or working with buyers, you know? Yeah.
I feel like I'm like totally like taking advantage of you right now. I want to apologize, but I'm not. Okay, last thing, for real, last thing. I know you're so passionate about listings. As long as I've known you, you have always had such a listing mindset. And I think internally, we all believe it. We all believe listings are important. Like, there's no one on this call that's going to say, no, absolutely don't think it's important. But between the belief and the action, there's a big gap. Like, every single day we have everything that comes up, and we only get to the lead generation portion like half the time, maybe, right? And we know it's important. So like, how do you coach your agents, or how do you what's your perspective? How can we shift this to action?
I will tell you my hack, and this is how I built my business plan for my first year, where I sold 52 homes. And here's what you're going to do. You know how you do your economic model when you do your business planning?
Yeah.
And you do like 50% buyer and 50% seller.
Yeah. And it's really sad because it's like 15% sellers and 85% buyers in real life.
So here's what you're going to do the next time you sit down with that, and you guys can pull it up and play around with it, is you're going to put 100% seller, and you're going to put all of your effort, your entire business plan is going to be around sellers, and every strategy is going to be a strategy to get sellers, because guess what happens when you get a listing? The buyers come automatically. You do not need to come up with strategies for buyers, because guess what? Listings, it's the best strategy for buyers that you could come up with. So that's what I'm doing with my agents. We are eliminating every effort. Like, my effort that I want to do for prospecting is all focused on sellers. And that's how I built my business. I got away from it. I've been coaching my agents the same way, like 50-50, and let's build a plan. And I realized we don't need a plan for buyers. They will come with the listings. They just rain. It's like they fall from the sky. And so get more signs in the yard, and you're going to get more quickly leads. You're going to get more sign calls. You're going to have great open house traffic with new listings. So it is the domino that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. So it's not that we're not going to work with buyers, but our business plan is around our strategy. So let's build our strategy 100% around taking listings.
Dang, I'm just going to let that sit, you guys. I hope you got a lot out of this. I have a new virtual assistant. Her name is Jem, and Jem is going to assist me in getting the recording out right away. So I know we're all excited about that. You don't have to wait like 2 weeks for me to get to it. Right. We're always adding leverage as we get busier, and more productive, not busier, more productive. And you guys, thank you so much for your time. You are always here to increase like your ability to be better. And it's an honor to talk to you guys every Thursday. Jacqueline, wow. Your energy at whatever time, 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock is, give yourself some credit, girlfriend. Thank you so much for pouring into us this morning. Really, really appreciate you. Everybody, we'll see you next week, and have a good rest of your week and a great weekend. And we'll see you back here next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye, y'all.